We return off of the hiatus.
Yeah.
Most TV shows take 6 months. We just seem like it took 6 months.
Unless it's Community, and then it seems like it's never coming back.
But look, it's Christmas already.
Okay. All right. Are you all ready?
Okay, I'm
All
ready.
right.
We got everything.
Are we ready for me to do the intro?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, we sure?
Here we go.
Okay, all right. Welcome to another edition of Dad, You Don't Work, You Wrestle. Apparently now with the new permanent host.
That's right, I like that.
Jake Manning sitting next to George South. George, it's been well over a week now.
Yeah,
How
seemed
you
like
been?
a lifetime. Seemed like a lifetime. It's good. Seemed like a lifetime.
Yes.
We may have took a week off, but the goofs in pro wrestling did not take a week off. But anyway, we'll touch on that just a little bit here. My turn. My turn. I'm sorry. So much going on. So much going on, Bull. Of course, the second greatest book ever written, still available right here at highspots.com. We hope everybody gets one.
Thank
you. Thank you so much.
We're going
to have to get you a host to host me,
yes,
so they can hold up everything.
Yeah.
Of course, so much stuff going on this past week. A huge show in Raleigh. Almost 400 people there. Big benefit for autism. And before that, me, you, and of course my guy Stan Lane, Caleb Conley, went up to our good friend Dutch Mantell in Tennessee. He done a tremendous fundraiser event for his granddaughter, Emilio, and I have been wanting one of these T-shirts forever. And of course we got one of these. Dutch was so nice to give these to the guys, and they're just working so hard to get that Amelia's Law passed. And we're just going to continue to pray for him. He's such a great guy, and we had a great time. Of course, me and Tom Pritchard stole the show, but of course it's my TV show. I'm going to say that. But
I'll agree with you on that.
Thank you.
I'll most certainly say that. It seems like a lot of people that came to that show in Knoxville were there to support the cause of Amelia's Law.
Yes.
And please, I believe it's ameliaslaw.com. I'll put it up for everybody to support and stuff like that. But most of the people there weren't really wrestling fans. And they were just there to support the cause. And you know, that community's gone through so much with this whole deal. And you don't really think about, you know, something like that affecting you. And that's something that Dutch Mantell said, is that you don't think something like that's going to happen to you. Well, it's happened to that community and Dutch Mantell. And in as opposed of, you know, stick your head in the sand, he's doing something positive that hopefully does a lot of good for not just that community, but the state of Tennessee. You know,
and Bullet, we always hear about how bad wrestling is, you know, how bad some of the guys are involved. And I'm usually the one saying all that. But this was one night when a lot of great guys just came together and they did something good. And on a different note, you know, when you book a legend, as we all know that I love to do, there's not many left. Most people think there is a empty barrel full of NWA guys and you just pick them out. There's not. So you think when you book a legend for two successful events, and agree on money, what should go wrong? Well, everything, people, everything. My legend didn't show up. Neither show. Surprise, surprise. Turned down $2,000. Could have made in merchandise. Heck, I ain't nobody. And I made good. Make sure the office ain't hearing that.
There's no problem.
But that's one thing I don't understand is I try. Lord knows I try. No legend. The people had to deal with me, but we got through it, Bullet. So, check another legend off the list that George South will never book again. So, all of you people that wonder who it is, I ain't telling you, okay? You ain't getting it for free. So come to my table and buy the great book, and then I'll tell you. That's pretty good, ain't it?
Well, I'm sure there's some guys that already know who you were talking about.
Listen, this ticks me off too. Listen, this goes to all these internet so-called wrestlers. Quit chewing gum in the ring. That is the stupidest thing I have ever seen. The Dawson boys, 300 pounds apiece, wrestled a guy Saturday. The guy was blowing bubbles the whole time. So when he got out of the ring, I said, oh, so now we go grizzly bear hunting while we're blowing bubbles. Of course, his comeback was like everybody else's. Well, Shawn Michaels and Triple H do it. As when I came back with the great Ole Anderson's line, if Shawn Michaels and Triple H took a dump in the ring, would you do it also? So, with that said.
Did he have a reply to that?
He did not.
Okay, just check.
I get the last word, especially because it's my TV show. But guys, listen, quit chewing gum. That is the stupidest thing, and don't even get me started on when it ends up on my canvas and you can't get it off. I have never understood that. And guys do it. They do it on TV. Quit chewing gum. It is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And don't even think about putting it on my ring post, and then I have to get it off later. So,
well, funny that you bring that up, and we were talking about the show in Knoxville. Believe it or not, and I think I told you this, later on that night, a fan came up to me later and thanked me for not chewing gum while I was in the ring.
They sure did.
And I've never had that happen before, that even the fans could
They know
that. So
I've never understood that. If I'm going to fight you in a dark alley, I'm sure before I walk into that alley, I'm going to stop at the gas station and get some juicy fruit. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not, Bullet. But evidently, everybody in the wrestling business feels that way. So, don't do it.
Well, part of the reason why we weren't here last week is because I was in Calgary working on the Dynamite Kid documentary. But I ran into somebody that you know, and I've dropped your name to him. He had something very favorable.
I love that.
I know you got scared.
Okay, I love it.
He had something favorable to say.
That's all that matters. I don't even care
unlike
who it
maybe
is.
most people.
Oh, yeah, that's what scared me. That's for another DVD.
But I ran into Leo Burke.
Oh, I love Leo Burke.
Oh, please explain why you love him.
Leo Burke. He came to Jim Crockett Promotions in about the mid-'80s. He came down to work, I think it was like 3 or 4 months. And, of course, when the boys, years ago, when they come in from out of town like that, they don't bring a car. They don't, they just come here and they need a ride a lot of times. So I was able to work some stuff out with him. I took him with me everywhere we went and just learned so much from just being in the car with him. And tremendous wrestler. Was able to get in the ring with him several times for Jim Crockett Promotions, and just unbelievable in the ring. And I love him to death. I will not say that many times about anybody, but even my own family. But Leo Burke is just first class. Bullet. I love him to death. I was able to travel with him for about 4 or 5 weeks and just listen to some of the stories and some of the advice. And he always watched our matches and gave us advice and told us what we were doing wrong. So he's thumbs up my book, buddy. I like him a lot.
Well, and that's just going to kind of bring to a point I kind of want to bring into conclusion for this is, I've met several wrestlers, and I come into contact with them several times. And, of course, it's always an awkward situation because I don't know them or whatever. So I always need a good icebreaker. But dropping your name is always a very good icebreaker. And saying I was trained by you seems to open up the doors. So I'm appreciative that I have such a wonderful name to drop.
I appreciate that, Bullet. And, amazing that you just said that. This past week somebody sent me something on Facebook. I don't even know how to get on Facebook. But they said, this guy's saying a lot of bad stuff about you. And usually that's okay to say it, but let me meet you first. So this guy here, I'd never met in my life. So, of course, I go to it because, that'll be our subject for next week. But he had just said all this stuff about me, and none of it was true and all this kind of stuff. And that's, to close this out with what you just said, Bullet, the guys that matter, the guys that I look up to and that I respect are good friends of mine. The ones that have run their mouth and said, George South done this, George South done that, have never drew a dime in pro wrestling. Have never drew a dime. So the ones that I worry about having respect for and returning that respect is all those legends that you just mentioned that are just first-class guys. So the ones that can get on this stupid little internet and, their dad's Star Wars pajamas and just print up a bunch of stuff about George South, that never bothered me. He called me, he said, take your old jobber self. But listen, folks, how many times have I told you this?
Well, I feel like you tell me one more time.
Thank you. I'll tell you again. Boy. Folks, listen, job guy, underneath guy, whatever you want to call it, I have kept a job for 31 years. That's not bragging. The good Lord has been very good to me, Bullet, as you know it. And believe me, in this short time you've been in this business, is you have to scratch, you have to claw for everything that you get. So I've kept a job for 31 years. Now, this idiot here that wrote this stuff about me, I don't even think he's got a job now. Just because you take your tax refund check and pay the rent on a building don't mean that you're some professional wrestler. So I'll also give you his name when you come to my table to buy a book. So with all that being said, Christmas is coming. Man, listen, the Island of Misfit Toys is right here at George South Training School, highspots.com. We got a good class getting ready to start here. And man, I love some people, not everybody.
Especially the people that buy his book, and you can get it at George South Gimmick Table,
thing in the world,
as well as highspots.com. So thank you again for joining this another edition of Dad, You Don't Work, You Wrestle.